Welcome to the Learning Center here on MSG Metro. I'm Bobby Rivers, your host for Metro at Large. Tonight, I know it's going to be a great show. We have got three terrific photographers, men who love photographing the metro area. I know they're giggling already because I'm giving them a great build-up. I've seen their work. I like it, and you will too. If you want to call us up, feel free to. You're going to make some new friends on tonight's show. The number is 1-877-MSG-METRO. If you have a fax machine, you can fax me at 877-METRO-FAX. If you have a computer, you can email me at the Learning Center address underneath my finger right now. Let me introduce you to the totally cool and groovy guests. Get ready for your close-ups, gentlemen. First, we have David Frieder. You will also see an image of some of their work. David Frieder is an award-winning photographer who never met a bridge he didn't like. He is on his way to becoming the Ansel Adams of bridges. And which one's longer, the Verrazano or the Golden Gate?
Verrazano.
Okay, that is correct. Next, we have Frank H. Jump. Dig the shirt. Frank photographs things that I love. He shoots signs of a bygone era, old advertising signs. His work is currently on exhibition in the New York Historical Society. Nice to have you here, Frank.
Thanks for having me.
And last but certainly not least, Gerard Suarez. Ah, what a cool name. He is a veteran iron worker known as the Picture Guy. He photographs buildings. He took photos of the Times Square scaffolding accident that recently occurred, and those photos were printed in the New York Times, some of them were.
Exactly.
Thank you for being here. Gentlemen, how did photography become your art? You first, David.
Photography became my art. I started off with a little Brownie camera when I was 7 years old.
Same kind I had.
And that's what Ansel Adams started off with. And then eventually I became fascinated with the George Washington Bridge. And after a couple of friends of mine photographed on the Golden Gate Bridge, I said to myself, where are there more bridges than anywhere else in the world? Here in New York City. So after going through all the red tape and the letters and the phone calls, I started a project on photographing the great bridges of New York.
Now, Ansel Adams did landscapes.
And Yosemite National Park. And the Great
And he
West
was your
Coast.
inspiration?
Yes, very much.
Did you meet him?
I never had a chance to meet him, but I know a lot of people who work with him.
All right, Gerard, how did photography become your art?
Well, I started with my children taking pictures with them around the city, different parts of the city and all that. Then eventually when I started ironworking, I took an interest in the buildings and the surroundings. And as we went up higher, we saw different sceneries, which fascinated me. And I've been doing that ever since.
For how many years now?
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years. And Frank, what about you, man?
I've always loved photography. I started my bachelor's again 2 years ago, and one of the classes I took was a documentary photography class. I was gearing my degree towards documentary filmmaking, and I figured a lot of documentary film is still photography.
Yeah.
So this project was my final project for school. So.
And obviously you aced it.
I think I did good.
Hey, he's on display. The scaffolding accident, you were there as it occurred?
Yes.
Gerard?
I was right on top of
All right,
the building.
if I was there when that accident was happening, I think I would have turned it to Jesse Owens. Feet, do your stuff. I would have just gotten out of there. What made you think of grabbing the camera?
Well, I had it in one of my, I have a belt with my tools on it, and I always carry one of these throwaway cameras with me in my bag. I get a shot of unusual piece of steel going up, or a guy doing a connection that's very unusual, a hard connection as we call it. I see the lighting as the sun goes around, and I get different shots of the views that
There's one of the photos up on the monitor right now.
Right.
It's in the New York Times.
Well, that's after the fact, of course, and that was one of the cars that didn't collapse. It was actually the track that was above it that came down. And
how did your photos get to the New York Times?
Well, this photo right here, when I took it, that was after the fact, and I took numerous shots of it, and they stopped the job. So I walked over to the New York Times, and
Which is close to where the accident occurred.
Right up the block, the next block, on 43rd Street. So, and I showed it to them, and they thought it was unbelievable, the shots. So, and they printed it that evening, and the following day they printed another shot that I had taken, and then eventually they made an article about me.
How has being a photographer for each one of you changed the way that you look at the world?
I think your experiences in life change the way you look at the world, and the camera is just the way you show how those experiences have affected you. So for me, it's the camera is more of my mouthpiece in a way. It explains
It's your voice.
how I look at the world. So the way it's changed my life is it's given me a voice.
I totally understand. Is that the same way for the other two?
Pretty much. I find the camera allows me to extend my inner vision. It puts what I see and feel onto a piece of film and then projecting that onto a piece of paper. It allows me to manipulate it to put more visual impact into an otherwise, let's say, dull image.
I want to talk more about the inspirations that you had in your art. People, you can call up and ask questions, make comments. I hope you do. The numbers are 877-MSG-METRO. That's the phone number. The fax number is 877-METRO-FAX. And you can email me at the Learning Center address on your screen. We're talking about men who love doing photography in the metro area. They are good photographers. How are we doing, Vincenzo? Doing okay there. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with me. Welcome back to Metro at Large. We are talking about Metro men who really love taking photos of our metro area. Three totally talented and totally butch men here. Let me reintroduce them to you. This guy will hang on a bridge. David Frieder can find beauty in the rust on a bridge. Inspired by the work of Ansel Adams, he takes pictures of bridges. Frank Jump. Advertising signs selling products that don't exist anymore are beautiful to him. He'll stand on a truck to take a photo of one. He documents those signs with his camera. And Gerard Suarez, he's big, he's tough, he's called the picture guy. The iron worker takes great photos of buildings. You, David, will stand on a bridge. And you've climbed on 12 bridges in New York.
13 now.
13, including GWB. What was the biggest obstacle you faced in photographing a bridge?
I ran into peregrine falcons on the Throg's Neck. They were attacking me.
So these birds are attacking you like out of a Hitchcock movie, and you are still taking photos of the bridge.
I was doing what I could, but you know, this is their territory. They have a nest box on the Queen's Tower, so there were, I think there were babies in the nest, so they're very territorial. So while I'm walking down the main cable, they were coming by my hard hat. One of them I could hear just buzz right past my helmet.
And was it worth it?
Yeah, very much.
Good photos?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we'll see some of those later. What about you, Gerard?
I think in Vermont, but over here in the city, downtown, I've taken some good shots. And then we did Tower 49. I was trying to get a good shot of St. Patty's Cathedral.
Yeah.
And looking at from the top we were. I did 49 floors. I was trying to get the cross, the sign of the cross, which was unbelievable. You know, how it was built. And you can't see it from the ground. You don't know that it's the sign of the cross, the St. Patty's Cathedral. And I thought it was fascinating to me. You know, it's, and to get the proper shot, I took chances of just going to the edge.
But you don't you have to, I think anybody who is dedicated to his or her art has to take a risk to do that. Well, you've been standing on trucks and stuff like that, taking photos of these signs, right, Frank?
I think the hardest thing is getting into a building when you want an aerial perspective. Sometimes a shot is really great from the perspective of the pedestrian, but if you want to get into a building and get the perspective of the office worker looking at this sign, and you've got to get past the security guard and talk to them. Oh yeah, I have an appointment upstairs. And
so you have to finagle your way in there, don't you? Yeah. How did you get interested in photographing the advertising, the old advertising signs, preserving history that way?
I've always loved advertising and graphics. Whenever I went traveling, I would always take shots of billboards of what was going on in that particular town, in Italy or in Detroit or wherever I would go. This grew out of a school project. We were given the topic, the rise and fall of New York City, and we were allowed to work within that. And I got the idea to start taking pictures of vintage mural ads to show the rise of consumerism and commercialism in New York City.
Let's take a look at some of your artwork. Okay, David, there are about 750 bridges in New York. How do you decide which ones to climb?
The ones that are most well known.
Well, there you go. Okay, you brought some photos with you. Take us through them. I think the first one we're going to see is this the Manhattan Bridge?
Yes.
Man, that is beautiful. Oh, I love black and white photos. That is a beautiful one.
Yeah. This one, I'm standing on top of the sphere. You know, the sphere is on top of the bridge. I'm physically standing on top of that sphere to get that. So I had to climb up the main cable.
And the same bridge?
Oh, no, this is the Bayonne Bridge.
Bayonne
This
Bridge?
is the center of the truss work. I'm on the lower chord, and I'm standing physically on the lower chord looking across.
Obviously, you're also wearing a cup.
Safety harness.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
To you, it's a safety harness. In my neighborhood, it's dance attire. Okay, next we have the Brooklyn
I'm
Bridge.
standing on the hand ropes. That's the main cable, the large piece you see there. But those hand ropes, those are the ropes you hook your safety harness or lanyards onto. So I physically was standing on those hand ropes, leaning against the anti-suicide gate. Those pieces you see on top of the main cable, like so people don't go on the main cable to go up and jump off. So I'm leaning against that.
Oh, man, that is
So I'm going to get the height.
beautiful work. Next, I think we're going over to Frank's. You photographed over 500 signs?
Around 500, yeah.
Okay, around 500.
Around 500.
All right, let's start off with some of your work. I think this is going to be the Omega oil sign.
Yeah, that's up in Harlem on 147th, I think, in Frederick Douglass.
Now, is this on display at the Natural Historical Society?
New York Historical Society. Yeah, I found this one with a friend of mine actually told me about it. We were up in Harlem taking photographs.
Betsy Gottbaum was here last week.
Oh,
and
yeah,
she brought that photo.
Oh, she did?
She did. Well, she's very proud of your work. Who wouldn't be?
Oh, great.
Okay, next we have the carriages, Hansoms in Chelsea.
Uh-huh.
I know this. Where is this?
That's on 17th Street. Used to be where B&H was, and they now they're up on 34th. But that's on 17th between 6th and 7th. And next to it is another sign as well, which I don't have here. But it was an old carriage house, and you can park your horse and sleep there overnight, and the horse got fed, and when you left in the morning.
That's it. A bygone era.
Yeah.
The last one is Fletcher's Castoria, and where is this? Is this Chinatown?
That's in Chinatown. Fletcher's Castoria is all over the city. It's one of those products that really did heavy advertising because people didn't like taking it. So it's kind of that Alka-Seltzer syndrome. You know, you got to do that real glitzy, plop, plop, fizz, fizz type of a thing to sell the product. So you'll see Fletcher's Castoria, you'll see his signature almost everywhere.
And we probably pass it every day in the metro area and just never notice it. Gerard, we're not going to leave you out. We have one of your photographs, men working. Why don't you check the monitor over there? I believe they'll bring that up. Whoa. And a buddy of yours there?
Yeah, that's a couple of buddies of mine. They were bolting up that corner of the building. We were about the 48th floor at the time.
Ooh, baby. And braver man than I, Gunga Din. All right, next, the New York skyline. That's a classic New York shot.
That was late morning. I figured where the sun was just right for that shot. And I got numerous shots of that scene right there, which in the late evening, and the overcast, where you have like a blue and a dark tint to it, which I love that, the shots from up there.
And this really, your last one is another one of men working. Where's this? What part of the city is this?
This is another job down on Lexington and 25th Street. That's Baruch College we're doing right now. And they were just about putting a truss, setting a truss on just before we jumped the tower crane. So, yeah, they're setting iron right there.